an internal dialogue in one mind.
Where is your faith?
My faith?
Yes. Where is your faith?
Well, my faith is in God.
So where is that?
You know, God.
I heard what you said. Where is God?
All around, I suppose. But wait a minute. What is it they say at Unity? Omnipresent.
Okay, so practically speaking, your God is everywhere and nowhere. How's that working for you?
What do you mean?
That God being everywhere thing, how does that work for you?
I'm not following.
Where do you feel God? Where do you feel your faith? Are you drenched in it, immersed in it, guided and moved by it?
I'll have to think about that.
I had a feeling you'd say that.
There you are. Where is your faith? Is it in a creed? Is it in a belief? Is it in a devotion or a reflex? Is it up here? Or is it in here? When we say our faith is in God, where does that take us? When you say, my faith is in God, where does that take you? Does it take you to a place, a point, apart from you, outside of you? The world-renowned religious scholar Houston Smith, I was going to say he once said, I think he said this more than once. I think he said it often. He said, what we want more than to know about God is to have an experience of God. And for us, for we who are on the New Thought path, we want even more than that. We want even more than a mere experience of God. No, we want to feel our Godness, our oneness, our divinity. That's what we want. Is that what you want? Yeah. I know that many of us, I'm not asking for hands, but I know that many of us have heard the voice of God, often described as a voiceless voice. My first of very few experiences of hearing the voice of God happened in the summer of '75. I was home from college on a break, and I had a 1971 Canary Yellow Chevy Vega. Anybody remember the Vega? And why are you laughing at my Vega?
The yellow part.
Oh, the yellow part. It was a cool yellow. I was 21, and 21 was a cool yellow. It was kind of mod back then. Psychedelic almost. Anyway, so my Vega, it had two severely rusted fenders. It had a blown head gasket, and a warped engine block. Now, even for those of you who are not auto mechanics, that doesn't sound real good, does it? It wasn't. It wasn't good at all. My car in that condition, I could hit a top speed of about 37 miles per hour. All the while spewing an oil cloud that I had good right to feel deeply guilty about. Well, I was driving home from my father's place in Sagamore Hills. I was on Valley View Road. I will never forget where I was and the scene and the lighting. It was night, and there was a full moon up above. There were cornfields to my left, and they were beautifully illumined in the light of the moon. And the temperature was about 68 degrees. It was a perfect summer's eve, except for the fact that my mind was spinning. My automotively inclined male mind at the age of 21 was just spinning around and around and around about the condition of my car. It was consuming me. Next to his 21-year-old girlfriend, his car, no. Next to his car, his girlfriend is his most... I'm just saying. I can go anywhere in my car. I can meet other people. I'm just saying. I didn't write that down. It just... So, I mean, my consciousness was just all about my car. And because it was just, you know, and this was all happening as I was zipping from 36 to 37. Which is not really fast when you're 21. And then that's when I heard it for the first time. I heard it and I felt it, the voice of God. And it said this: everything will be all right. That was it. Everything will be all right. And in that moment, instantly, I relaxed. I believed. I knew. This voice wasn't my voice. It was not the voice of my personality. It was a voice. I heard the words, but it wasn't a voice. I heard it and felt it, but I didn't hear it. I didn't really feel it. I experienced it. And I knew everything would be all right. So 2 days later, I'm on an RTA bus that I pick up in Independence, where my mom's home is, where I lived until I went to college. Actually, I was still living there on break, and I was going downtown to my summer job. I was working on a demolition crew. And it happened that I struck up a conversation with a man in a suit on the bus. Now, I've been riding the bus for weeks, and I hadn't entered into a conversation with any other passenger in all that time. And as it worked out, he was taking the bus downtown to pick up a car for a client. I said, "You're picking up a car?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I manage the Chevrolet dealership on Broadview." I told him about my Vega. What condition its condition was in. And he said, "There's a recall notice that covers the fenders and the engine block." I said, "Really?" I said, I read the Plain Dealer every day." I said, "I didn't read anything about that." He said, "It hasn't been in the papers. We're kind of keeping it on the down low." He said, but bring your car in and we'll take care of everything at no cost." And they did. Earlier this week, I was talking to my mom, and I asked her this question. I said, Mom, we've never talked about this before. I said, have you ever heard the voice of God? And she said, I think so, a number of times. But I always questioned, was it really God's voice? Or was it mine? I said, was there ever a time that you were sure, where you knew? And she paused, and she thought. I mean, she really thought for a considerable while. And I simply held space as she was. And then she looked up into my eyes, and she said, yes. Yes, she said. When you were a boy, and you had nephritis, which is a kidney disease, she said, I heard the voice of God say, get him out. I was in the hospital. She said, the voice said, get you out. She said, your treatment was supposed to be bed rest. That's the treatment for nephritis. She said, the next day when I went to the hospital, I found you running another child up and down the hallways in a wheelchair. I got you out. That was the voice of God. She said it wasn't me. A friend of mine recently shared that after a long absence, God finally showed up again in her life. The kind of God that she could feel. Now she knew that God had never gone away. But she didn't feel the presence. And so I asked her, I said, when you knew that God was back, the God that you could see and feel and recognize and be one with, I said, was that the voice of God? She said, no. She said, that's happened before in my life. But it's all the signs of God that I see in life every day. Now, I got to tell you, and if you've had the experience, you know, hearing the voice of God is way cool. It is so amazing. And it's only happened to me a couple times in my life. I mean, I get guidance. You get guidance. We get it all the time. But hearing it, what I call the voice of God, a couple times. And yet God manifests in all of life, in every moment, without exception. In all of life. In every moment. Jesus said, I came so that they may have, who's the they? Hands up. Yeah, you're the they. We are the they. We are they. We are they, we are them. It is us. He said, I came so that they, you, may have life and have it abundantly. Abundantly. Now, from everything that I know about this man, Jesus, he did not bless poverty in any way, nor was he against wealth. In fact, his ministry was supported by a relatively small group of people of means.